What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Her bluntness caught Dino off guard. He could only nod sheepishly and mutter.
Yeah, I guess so.
But it was far too late to change course now.
What? That's such naive thinking. I don't care if I win or lose, I just want to see you cry.
Ramirez's selfishness flared up, leaving Dino with no choice but to fight. If he'd apologized earlier, maybe Ramirez would have let it slide. But that was nothing more than a lost opportunity. With a blank stare, Dino shifted his focus to Beretta and Zijin.
There's no way I can win.
The thought loomed over him like a dark cloud. Then, out of nowhere, a peculiar realization struck him.
Wait, is Zijin's magicule volume really that low?
The sensation was faint, but Dino could sense something was off. Having faced Zijin before, he knew the pressure of Zijin's overwhelming aura. But this time, it seemed unusually subdued. Still, Dino couldn't dwell on it. The moment he dreaded was fast approaching. Ramirez, ever the instigator, called out to Beretta.
Beretta-chan, you're allowed to lose, but only after you make Dino suffer.
Humph, you must be joking. Losing too often dulls the sting. This time, I'll win.
Dino's shoulders slumped even further.
Damn it, Vega, hurry up already. I don't care if it's not ready.
The reality of Dino's predicament was crushing. It wasn't Vega who was in trouble, it was Dino who'd be completely doomed if time ran out. With a deep sigh, he looked utterly defeated. Meanwhile, Beretta's presence continued to intensify. Just as Gracia had observed earlier, Beretta's strength had grown significantly in such a short span of time. From Dino's perspective, he still considered himself the stronger one, at least, as long as no tricky abilities came into play. Facing Beretta wouldn't be too concerning on its own, but with Zijin looming nearby, victory against just one opponent wouldn't mean much. Dino felt a small sense of relief when he noticed Zijin wasn't stepping in. The two exchanged a brief, tense glance.
Alright, let's begin.
Ramirez cheerfully announced, signaling the start of the battle. Unlike Pico and Gracia, Dino wasn't particularly fond of fighting. To him, it was more of a hassle than anything else. He wasn't allowed to forfeit outright, but his plan was to fake an earnest effort while ultimately throwing the match. Unfortunately, things didn't unfold as he'd hoped. He thought he'd effortlessly dodged Beretta's punch, but her arm twisted unnaturally, striking toward him with fluid precision. It didn't stop there, her arm stretched, contracted, and even split apart mid-attack. This was no ordinary punch, it was a calculated and relentless assault.
What's going on? This isn't like before. Gracia was right.
Dino's mind raced as he struggled to process the situation. He had heard the rumors. Beretta was a Majin in the form of a golem, created by a demon using a magisteel doll crafted by Rimuru. But now, she had fully assimilated into her form. Her movements were so fluid and deliberate that it was hard to believe she was made of steel. As they clashed, Dino immediately realized the danger Beretta posed. Her seemingly simple appearance was deceptive. The gap between her old capabilities and her current ones was staggering. The naive confidence Dino had moments ago, that he could beat Beretta if he tried, vanished. Beating her might have been possible before, but now? Even with his full effort, it seemed nearly impossible.
She's grown so much in such a short time.
The growth of Kumara and Geld had been impressive, but Beretta, and Apito, for that matter, had taken it even further, leaving Dino in awe. Apito had grown significantly during her fight with Mai, proving once again that underestimating Rimuru's subordinates was a grave mistake. But Dino wasn't one to underestimate his opponents.
In fact, I respect them, so could they please stop making things harder for me?
With that thought, Dino decided the best course of action was to avoid Beretta altogether. Beretta's punch slammed into the ground with a dull thud. At first glance, it seemed deceptively soft, but it was actually composed of hihirikane, a near indestructible material. They carried no weapons, they didn't need any. Their fists were harder than steel hammers, and the sheer force behind their strikes was overwhelming. Beretta didn't seem to be using any mystical powers, yet they were a terrifying opponent even in a straightforward brawl. For Dino, who had only planned to keep an eye on Zijin, Beretta's sudden leap in power was a massive shock. And to make matters worse, Zijin, an indomitable force, still loomed silently behind them. Dino felt utterly cornered. Why did it have to turn out like this? Still, he wasn't giving up. His only plan now was to stall for time. He darted around the battlefield, dodging and evading, doing everything he could to avoid Beretta's relentless strikes, and, more importantly, the pain they promised to bring. But then, something unexpected happened. Dino's feet sank into the ground. At first, he thought it was just soft soil. But as he tried to pull free, he realized he was stuck. The ground beneath him wasn't dirt anymore, it had turned into liquid metal. Before he could react, it rose higher, gripping his legs like a vice. The more he struggled, the worse it became. The metallic sludge tightened around him, dragging him deeper. In moments, his legs were completely immobilized, and the metal began to solidify, locking him in place like hardened steel. It was Beretta's combined technique, mineral domination and geomanipulation. By altering the very structure of the earth, they had turned the ground into an unbreakable trap. Dino let out a resigned sigh. Escape was impossible. Beretta, once Ramirez's guardian and a commanding figure among the dungeon's elite 10, had honed their abilities under the Dark Lord's service. They was no stranger to power, and Dino realized too late that underestimating them had been a grave mistake. Dino hadn't expected his defeat to come so swiftly.
Hey, this power wasn't there when I fought you in the labyrinth.
Having given up on escape, Dino stood his ground, looking like a man with nothing left to lose. The strength Beretta was showing now was worlds apart from their last encounter. Somehow, they had gained immense power in such a short time. He wanted to dismiss it as impossible, but the truth was staring him in the face. Beretta, noticing his casual attitude even in the face of defeat, responded icily.
Does that matter? You're dealing with it now.
For a moment, Dino thought of retorting with a flippant "of course you can," but the words died in his throat. Without another word, Beretta unleashed their strength. A spear of metal materialized and shot through Dino's body. The sheer pain forced him to his knees, his vision blurring as consciousness slipped away. Beretta's victory was absolute. As Dino slowly regained consciousness, he heard Ramirez's overly enthusiastic voice.
Yes, Beretta-chan has won.
It seemed like he had only been out for a moment.
Oh, I wish this was the end.
The resurrection bracelet had done its job, much to Dino's dismay. There were still 4 left, which meant Ramirez wasn't going to stop until he was defeated 4 more times.
Now, who's next?
Dino groaned as he overheard the question, dreading what was coming. Apito confidently stepped forward into the Colosseum.
Ramirez-sama, I'll go next. I want to test out my new power.
All right, then Apito-chan is next.
Dino finally pieced together the situation.
Oh, so that's it.
He muttered bitterly, realizing he was nothing more than a convenient test subject.
You're joking, Ramirez. You're really picking on me.
What? You're the one who's been targeting me, you know.
Dino wanted to argue but decided against it. Ramirez wasn't wrong, and excuses wouldn't get him anywhere. He sighed and let it go.
Let's begin.
Ramirez shouted, officially starting the next fight. From the moment Apito dashed forward, Dino was completely outmatched. With his great sword still strapped to his back, he couldn't even follow Apito's afterimages. Apito moved with lightning speed, his fists flashing like blurs. Protruding from each was a sharp needle that focused all his power into a single devastating point. Dino winced as Apito's needle pierced his arm, despite his attempt to dodge. The impact felt light, unnervingly so. It wasn't a physical strike but something far more insidious.
What do you think? How's my phantasm needle working for you?
Apito asked with a sly smile. Dino grimaced. It wasn't a sharp shock he felt, but a deep, soul-crushing pain that gnawed at his very being. As a spiritual being, Dino naturally had pain nullification. It had been ages since he felt any actual pain, so the sharp, agonizing sensation coursing through him now was unbearable. His soul felt like it was on fire, and he couldn't help but writhe and cry out in agony. Apito stood nearby, watching him with a calm, almost amused expression. She didn't attack again, she didn't need to. Like a cold and calculated ruler, she toyed with Dino, her actions a reflection of Ramirez's will as the labyrinth's master. In reality, Apito's phantasm needle didn't cause physical harm. Even a fatal strike would have been ineffective against a high-ranking spiritual being like Dino. But Apito's true genius lay in how she used the needle. Each strike triggered Dino's survival instincts, forcing his body and soul into overdrive. The needle amplified his own defense mechanisms, creating a feedback loop where Dino's instincts worked against him. Rather than dulling over time, the pain compounded with every passing moment. Dino's mental defenses, designed to protect him, turned into his worst enemy, attacking his own psyche like an immune system in overdrive. This was why the agony felt so overwhelming. It wasn't the needle itself, but Dino's own reaction to it that caused the suffering.
It seems to be working perfectly.
Apito's voice carried a hint of satisfaction as she observed Dino writhing in torment. Her technique had done exactly what she intended. If Dino had understood Apito's method and calmly accepted the Phantasm needle, it wouldn't have had much effect. But the moment his instincts kicked in, the technique became unstoppable. This was the true terror of Apito's ability, a relentless, resistance-breaking force, like a mental, anaphylactic shock. Once the cycle began, there was no escape, leaving Dino utterly at her mercy.
You're disgusting. Do you get some sort of satisfaction from hurting me? Don't you think Rimuru will be upset seeing you act like this?
Shut it. There's no such thing as clean or dirty in a fight. If you win, you win. If you lose, you die. That's the unshakable rule, straight from Rimuru-sama.
Apito's sharp retort cuts through Dino's outburst, her conviction leaving no room for argument. Kumara, listening intently, nods in agreement.
Exactly. Adults are ruthless. They'll do whatever it takes to win. I read that in my textbooks.
Beretta, standing nearby, appears slightly baffled by the conversation but chooses to remain silent.
I feel like Rimuru-sama's words are getting twisted more and more, but if I think about it, they're not entirely wrong.
Beretta ponders, unsure of how to process the situation. Unlike Beretta's grounded demeanor, Apito's carefree nature drives her boldness. Arnaud and the others, often sparring with her during training, frequently complain about her directness, grumbling, "At least he's polite enough to say it himself, isn't he?" Her sharp edge reflects the influence of her mentor. Apito's ruthless approach can be traced back to her mentor, Hinata, known for her unrelenting stance against enemies. Though Apito has adopted Hinata's attitude, she's quick to quiet down whenever Zijin scolds her. But with Zijin absent, there's no one to rein her in now. With a mischievous grin, Apito raises her slender hand toward Dino.
A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Jared Bressler, Speed Saber, Curtis Loban, Judah Herrera, Just a Guy, Miss L.W. Hernandez, Jason Martin, Zach Rosen, Jerry Sladek, Ray Perez, Jay, Donald Williams, Day of Light, John M, Godman Gaming, Markithian Tidwell, Adrian, Kumo, T. Bush, Kirisoto-sama, JV, Thomas, Joshua Cousins, Jose Hernandez, Khalid, Christian Deshazer, Divine C. Harris, Montyboy 98, Ruben, Yuki Iki, Gray, Isaac, Koala King 93, Quilly Buckner, Alver, Normal Defate, Joshua Andrade, Gary Miles, Dragon Spawn 666, J. Rule, Nate, Leiron Sangkap, Lucas Guet, Jason Martin, Sky T, Andre Hamilton, Martin Ramos, Emperor WSA, Miko Espinosa, George Hage, Gobi Lin, Pratik Bandari, Faiz Mansour, Jackson Early, Carl Stephen Bernadal, Gareth Hashimoto, Steven Madison, Marl Barsha, Ralph Ignacio, Efrain Hernandez, Luca Gaming WTF, William Locke, Kamal Luke, Akshay Devate, Elvin Quarty, Ian Sikibiol, Thanakorn Lee Sawat, KACP9R, The Harv, Drayden Yamauchi, Joshua Wolf. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.